In the heart of Silicon Valley lies the Advanced Energy Solutions Laboratory, home to the uncelebrated genius, Dr. Emily Reeves. An astrophysicist, she delves into the thrilling, uncharted territory of harnessing the power of miniature black holes. Unnoticed by the world, the unassuming Emily stands on the brink of a discovery set to ripple through the fabric of existence. Her ordinary life, against the backdrop of an extraordinary venture, is about to change dramatically. Emily and her team are on the verge of creating a black hole. With a triumphant gleam in her eyes, Emily initiated the final sequence. An eerie hum resonated through the room as the machine came to life, generating a gravitational field so strong, yet so minuscule, that it warped space-time itself. And there it was, a microscopic black hole, an energy source so potent it could power entire civilizations. The team erupted into cheers. The atmosphere in the room was electrifying, each scientist realizing they had become a part of history. However, amidst the celebration, Emily noticed something. Her eyes, trained for years to detect the slightest discrepancy, caught the fluctuation on the monitoring system. The black hole, that tiny singularity, was not behaving as predicted. Its gravitational field was growing stronger, pulling in more matter, and thereby increasing in mass. For a moment, Emily froze as the horrific realization dawned on her. They had not just created a new energy source, they had triggered something far more dangerous, potentially apocalyptic. The black hole was not remaining stable as theorized. Instead, it was growing, slowly, gradually, but unstoppably. The monitors beeped a frantic rhythm, mirroring the rising panic in Emily's heart. With trembling hands, she silenced the room. The celebration stopped abruptly as she shared the terrifying discovery. The faces around her paled, and the room plunged into a tense silence. Emily could hear her heartbeat echoing in the quiet, drumming a chilling rhythm of the adventure they were about to embark on. Overwhelmed by the potential disaster they had uncorked, the team grappled with their choices. Revealing the truth about the unstable black hole would certainly provoke worldwide chaos, but remaining silent posed an equally distressing moral dilemma. After hours of frantic debate, the team reached a consensus born out of fear and denial. They decided to keep the black hole's instability a secret, at least until they could find a way to stabilize it. They refused the call to admit their mistake, choosing to shoulder the weight of impending disaster alone. Emily, despite her reservations, agreed. Fear gnawed at her, but she clung to a desperate hope that they could fix this before the world found out about the black hole that threatened to consume everything they held dear. As days turned into weeks, Emily and her team raced against time, wrestling with equations and simulations, attempting to halt the relentless growth of the black hole. Then, one day it happened. The black hole's growth, until now gradual, surged exponentially. Alarms blared across the lab, lights flickered, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to tremble. Emily watched in terror as the containment field around the singularity flickered and failed. The lab, their sanctuary of knowledge and innovation, was suddenly transformed into an arena of uncontrolled annihilation. Inanimate objects near the black hole started to distort, stretching out like taffy as they were sucked in. Desks, computers, equipment all succumbed to the relentless gravitational pull. The black hole continued to grow, inching outward, its insatiable hunger unabated. Their secret was no longer containable within the lab's walls. Emily and her team evacuated, their hearts heavy with dread and guilt. The black hole they had birthed was now out of control, threatening to consume not just their lab, but the entire world. Emily sought solace in the wisdom of her mentor, Dr. Howard Steen, a seasoned physicist who had guided her throughout her academic years. She found him in his book-laden office, his weathered face breaking into a warm smile at her arrival. In hushed tones, Emily unveiled the colossal catastrophe they had unwittingly set in motion. As Dr. Steen listened, his jovial demeanor melted into grave concern. "The world must be alerted, Emily," he said firmly. "We can't face this alone." Bolstered by Dr. Steen's wisdom, Emily acknowledged her duty. The secrecy around the black hole had to end. Together, they committed to sharing their burden with the world and crafting a solution to save humanity from the abyss. Her mentor's faith reignited a spark of hope in her. She was not alone in this dire battle. When the revelation about the black hole became public, the world spiraled into chaos. The scientific community erupted with disbelief and condemnation, while public panic spread like wildfire. Authorities, caught between mitigating an escalating global crisis and maintaining public order, met Emily and Dr. Stein's plea for assistance with skepticism and bureaucratic red tape. As the black hole's growth accelerated, swallowing more of the Earth's matter with each passing moment, Emily and her team labored relentlessly. The problem was of unprecedented complexity, a race against the dark forces of the universe itself. With every conceivable conventional solution failing, the team needed to venture into the unexplored corners of theoretical physics. It was during one such deep dive into their collective knowledge that an audacious plan began to take shape. Dr. Stein, drawing from his extensive research on particle physics, suggested a radical idea. The Large Hadron Collider, humanity's most powerful particle accelerator, might be their last hope. In theory, by generating a high-energy particle beam and directing it at the black hole, they could introduce enough exotic particles to disrupt its gravitational field, effectively causing the singularity to disperse. The room fell silent as the team grappled with the implications. The plan was risky, experimental, and based on untested theories. Moreover, it involved manipulating a facility designed for discovery, not as a weapon against a self-inflicted cosmic threat. But the black hole wasn't waiting for their decision. Its incessant growth cast an ever-expanding shadow, edging closer to humanity's annihilation, so they had no choice. With the Large Hadron Collider commandeered and their calculations refined to the most minute detail, there was no room for error. They had one chance, one narrow window to act before the black hole spiraled irrevocably out of control. As the countdown began, Emily watched the monitors, her heartbeat echoing the ticking clock. They were not just scientists anymore, they were humanity's last defense. The collider roared to life, sending a shudder through the earth. A beam of particles, bearing the weight of humanity's hope, sped towards the abyss. An eerie silence hung over the control room as they waited for the results. Then, a sigh of collective relief swept through the room. The plan was working. The black hole's growth rate was slowing, its relentless expansion brought to a halt. Cheering erupted, smiles broke out on weary faces, hugs were shared. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, hope dawned. They had dared to confront the cosmic abyss and emerged victorious. But just as they began to celebrate, the ground shook. An aftershock, a backlash from the collider's intense energy discharge, rocked the facility. Alarm bells clanged, red lights flashed, and the joyous atmosphere evaporated as quickly as it had formed. The collider, strained beyond its limits, was malfunctioning. Emily watched in horror as the monitor showed the black hole flickering back to life. Their triumph was short-lived. Emily's heart pounded as she assessed the situation. The black hole was starting to flicker back to life, feeding off the malfunctioning collider's energy. She had to act, and fast. The control systems were non-responsive, damaged by the aftershock. There was only one option left: manually adjust the collider. But that meant venturing into a potentially unstable structure radiating unpredictable energy levels. Drawing a deep breath, Emily steeled herself against the tidal wave of exhaustion and fear. There was no other way. She locked eyes with Dr. Stein, a silent conversation passing between them. Then, with a determined nod, she headed towards the heart of the collider, her every step echoing with the weight of humanity's hope. The collider loomed before Emily like a behemoth of steel and energy. She navigated the labyrinth of machinery, a solitary figure against a backdrop of chaotic physics and impending doom. With hands shaking from fatigue and adrenaline, she began making the necessary adjustments. Each moment was a battle against the merciless clock. The black hole flickered ominously, a stark reminder of the tightrope she walked. In the nerve-wracking climax, as the collider trembled with pent-up energy, Emily input the final adjustments. She hit the activation button just as the ground beneath her buckled violently. The collider roared back to life, the beam of particles once again targeting the black hole. This time, instead of resisting, the black hole shivered, stabilized, and then slowly began to dissipate. Emily watched its demise on the monitor before her strength gave way, and she collapsed. Her last conscious thought was of a world safe from the brink of annihilation, even as her own fate hung in balance. The scientist-turned-savior had sheatheded the cosmic reaper, but at what cost? Emily wakes up in a hospital, her mind groggy but her spirit unbroken. She was alive. As the memories flooded back, she realized the enormity of what she had achieved. Word of Emily's heroic act had spread. The world hailed her as a savior, the scientist who had dared to confront a cosmic beast. Stories of her courage and determination echoed through the media. Children in classrooms around the world learned her name, the image of a woman in a lab coat embedded in their minds as a symbol of resilience and hope. But Emily felt no sense of glory. She saw only a second chance, an opportunity to ensure the events of the past would never recur. As she lay on the hospital bed, the sounds of celebration outside her window, she made a solemn vow. She would dedicate her life to responsible scientific exploration, committed to quenching the thirst for knowledge without putting life on Earth at risk again.